Hi everyone, welcome to another video from the Orbs team. I'm very excited because today we have another great member, Ron Bresler. Hi Ron.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
I'm well, excited about the rain. How are you?
Great. Thanks.
So Ron, what do you do in Orbs?
So I'm a contributor, a software developer with the group. I've been with Orbs for about 2.5 years.
Oh,
When I first joined, I think we were just after the alpha of the first version of the Orbs network core node. And it was pretty exciting back then. I remember the first thing we talked about was what languages we should use for the reference implementation of Orbs network. And we started going on pretty fast in those days. It was about 1 year until we reached the first release of V1 of Orbs. So I've been with Orbs for a while now.
yeah.
Before that, I've been programming for other startup companies mostly, doing different kinds of development. And this is my first contact with blockchain.
Wow,
It's very interesting, very exciting.
it is. It is very interesting. I keep learning new things with all these videos. So what do you want to talk about today?
Okay, so I want to talk about our work routine, especially now with the Corona, our practices, show you a little bit of our task board, and discuss some of the current tasks, show you how we organize the work in the team, and maybe you will have some questions.
Okay, I'm excited to learn new things mainly.
Okay, so let me share the screen and show you the task board. And I will first, nope, there. So we start every morning by looking at the system status and discussing issues that came up with the beta environment, beta deployment of the network, things we learned in the past few days, conclusions from work every individual did yesterday. We compare impressions, we have short brainstormings, we discuss the state of the beta. This usually takes about 20 minutes because we do it every day. So we don't have a lot to say, usually. This practice started when Corona came about. We decided we want to start every day with a Zoom meeting of the entire team, just to make sure everyone is aligned. And over time, sorry?
Clever.
Over time, we split this meeting into two meetings. One was to be focusing on the state of the beta network, and the other one is more about distributing tasks, making sure the board is updated, that we have a clear picture of the project. And we'll go over that board in a bit. So I want to talk a little bit about the milestone section here.
Mm-hmm.
We are right about to launch our V2.5 actually version. It's a big revision of the Orbs network platform protocol, node implementation, everything. I'm sure our viewers have heard about it or know about it. I will not talk about the actual content of the version so much because there will be it's not the focus of our talk. But we are currently in the process of deploying new smart contracts for the proof of stake. We are in the process, which Aviram talked about in previous posts. We are testing heavily and making last-minute upgrades to the Tetra, to the staking wallet tool that delegators use to stake with the POS. And as you can see, I don't know when this video will be released, but the schedule is pretty tight. Every few days we have a milestone to meet. And we don't take this to be official release dates, because this is an internal board. I'm just showing you how we organize and look at this. But right now, we are on track. We have today, actually November 4th, is another milestone that should be met. We're deploying the contracts anew, and this is something that Aviram and Oded are doing currently. So it's all very hectic. Do you have any questions, Bar?
No, I'm just amazed with all this done. It's very efficient.
Yes. So how we organize the tasks? Usually we want to clean the done tasks from this work in progress board. Usually we move them to the done section here, and after a while we clear that too, because done is not very interesting. We leave things on the whip board when we still think we might want to talk about that in the daily sync, and we don't think it's or we want to keep an eye on what we did, maybe discuss a little bit. But I agree, this we should clean this now already. And moving down, we have, I don't know if you can see in the video, but we have different owners to different tasks.
Oh, wow, yeah, I can see that.
Get a glimpse of the team here. So all these people are in our daily sync every morning, and deciding which tasks should be done next, talk about delays, talk about blocking issues. For example, some tasks need some other tasks to be done before they can be started, and all of this is pretty basic R&D project management stuff. So if you are in the if you've seen any of these projects, it's very familiar. It's all very standard.
So whoever is next to the task, he's in charge on it?
Yes, that's the person who is implementing the feature. So what kind of tasks do we write here? We write issues that we find that need to be fixed. We have a priority column telling us if it should be fixed promptly, what systems it affects, and we have the owner who is in charge of fixing the problem. We also have features that come up, and I prepared a different board, right? Yeah. So we have new features that come up that are also listed here, and things that just generally needs doing. So all of these things are put here. Whenever we realize that there is some new thing we want to do, we just add it here. We have a short talk about it in the morning sync and decide if we want to do it or not. So we can, if you don't have any other questions, we can look at just a few examples of things that are currently.
I do have a question.
Sure.
When do you decide, based on what, that a certain task is officially done and there's no need to re-examine it?
So it depends on the task. Some things are just things that we should do, and there is no big question if they were done or not. For example, if I want to deploy a version to the production or beta network. So once I do it, I immediately see if it succeeded, and then I mark the task as done, and we forget about it. But in some cases, I'm trying to fix a bug, and maybe after fixing it, we want to keep the task around and see that it doesn't come back. Because maybe I fixed it so good that I created a new bug. Maybe maybe something fell on the way. Sometimes we want to keep an eye on things before we forget about the task. Is that what you meant?
Thank you. Yeah. So what's next?
So we can mention, because this is more about our daily routine, we can take a few examples of tasks. For example, today, as part of the final contracts deployment, we are releasing a new POS contracts test kit.
Mm-hmm.
In order for the deployment to be completed, we want to upgrade all of our Orbs network supporting modules, including the UI components and the actual node services that run inside the Orbs node, to use the latest version of the APIs of the contract. So for that, we have a line here, it says integrate new test kit once deployed. And we have the people involved in upgrading the systems and integrating the new test kit. So this is an example of a very quick and simple task, but it's waiting for the actual deployment of the new test kit. And this will probably happen today in a couple of hours. So that's one example. We have, let's take an example of a manual test that we're doing. As part of our preparation for the launch, we are doing intensive testing on the beta network. And whenever these ideas of things we want to test and look into more deeply come up, we write them on the board. So this task, for instance, E2E test rolling upgrade revert, it's a very specific scenario, use case that at some point a couple of days ago, one of us thought that it's more complicated than our usual rolling upgrade scenario, and we should test that. So we have this on the board. It's waiting for me and Tal to do it manually. And this is just an example of the different activities that we do, and this happens pretty frequently.
That's why it doesn't have a date?
It doesn't have a date because it didn't start.
Oh.
Normally, we add dates to things that are work in progress, or things that are actually happening now, or things that we plan in advance and they naturally have an end date. Most things, they will end shortly after we start, but we're not very particular about planning everything out in advance. But once we start, we like to keep target end date, just to know if we are running into problems, if we are spending too much time on a single task. And, so that's why we have these tracking dates. Since we are meeting and discussing every day, there is no need for a more aggressive planning strategy. But again, we also always start the day by discussing our milestones and our preparation for them.
Smart.
And so I want to give another example of a task that's on the board here. And this is a bit further removed from our R&D tasks. We said there are bugs that we fix, there are features that we add, there are activities that we are doing to maintain the network and test it. And in this particular example, one of the changes that we've made recently in our proof of stake ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
This is not really directly related to V2.5, but it's just an ongoing task that we have to address as a support for a system that tells other people what is the circulating supply of Orbs token. We have made a change in the accounts that keep some of our non-circulating tokens, and the system needs to be updated. So again, since this is where our team looks at things that need to be done, we add this task here. Currently, we just realized there is an issue there. The supply is shown incorrectly, and we will fix it shortly. This is something that we just added recently. So that's another example of things that get on this board. Any other questions?
Did you have any interesting bugs?
Sure. An interesting case we had recently. Let's give an example of something happened last Saturday. As part of one of our tasks to check the transactions that are submitted through some of the main usage flows on the POS contracts. You can see the task here is, I don't know if you can see the highlighting, contract, manual testing, experiment, and analyze execution results. So while we were doing this, we were playing with simulating a crashed node. And we realized that in some particular cases, when we come back from a crash, an unexpected event occurs where all of our nodes restart across the network. And this is a surprising result because normally you just stop and start a node. It should have no effect on the other nodes. So we went to look into that. It's a very surprising result. And we realized that there is a complication with mechanism that is intended to keep all the nodes running all the time. And this is something that you don't usually see in networks with a large amount of nodes. You don't see that in Ethereum, for example. But since we are very minded towards reducing the maintenance load on validators, we have a lot of mechanisms in the node that try to guarantee that it is always up and running. And what we found here in this case is that in some situations where a node joins the network, it gives a wrong signal to this mechanism that is watching the network and keeping all the nodes running. And in fact, it's restarting all the nodes for no good reason. So we looked into this. It was very unexpected, and we have a solution, and it's already deployed, and we will test that again several times to make sure it doesn't happen once we launch.
Wow. Thank you.
Great.
I feel like I got a better understanding of the work that the team is doing. Seriously, it looks amazing.
Glad to help if you have any more questions.
Yeah. No, I really, first of all, I feel like I learned some more today, but mainly it's amazing to see this board, to see all the tasks, to see how you delegate. It's like, it's really, really cool. And I'm just happy that everyone else can see it. So thank you.
Sure, anytime.
Well, thank you for doing this. And thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you next time with another video with a great member of the Orbs team. Bye.
Bye, Mal.